Now, Brett, I want to get your take on who's the most underrated quarterback in football. I think that Matthew Stafford, personally, is the most underrated quarterback in football. I don't know if you agree with me, but I'll tell you why I think that. First of all, as far as talent, I look at Mahomes, I look at Rodgers, I look at Wilson, I look at Watson, I look at Lamar, I look at Kyler Murray. Outside of that, who's got more talent? I don't know. I mean, maybe Josh Allen. I'm just talking your talent. What's your physical God-given abilities? I'm talking arm, mobility, accuracy, just natural talent. I think Matthew Stafford is one of the 7 to 8 most talented quarterbacks in football. And I understand that he's never won the division. I get it. He's never won a playoff game. He's been to the playoffs a couple of times. So I'm not willing to put him in the top 10 because I just think you need to accomplish something. But yeah, I mean, he's had to deal with a lot of bad defenses, not great offensive lines. He's never really had a running game. I mean, in September of 2018, Kerryon Johnson rushed for 100 yards in a game. And guess what? That was the first 100-yard rusher they had since 2013. That's absurd. So you tell me, is Matthew Stafford in position to win? I don't think so. I think he's the only reason the Lions have been winning games. And I look at his touchdown to interception ratio. I'm not a big statistics guy, but there's something. He's 22nd all time as far as touchdown to interception ratio. That's better than Big Ben Roethlisberger. That's better than Cam Newton. I'm not saying that he's a better quarterback than those guys at his best, but Stafford's there, man. And I've seen the guy throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns in 2011. The guy has 28 fourth-quarter comebacks. That's 11th all time. 38 game-winning drives. That's 13th all time. So Stafford's clutch when you have the games close. So, again, Matthew Stafford's not perfect. I think that he throws too many interceptions at times. But, yeah, I mean, I think he's the most underrated quarterback in football. Do you agree with me or disagree?
You know, I would probably say Matt Ryan, in my opinion, is the most underrated quarterback in football. He's always kind of the forgotten man. And mainly it's because I think he's not like the most athletic or not the most gifted quarterback. And there were a few years straight ever since his MVP season where the offensive line was absolutely atrocious and or injured and or both. And when Matt Ryan's under siege, he's not really mobile enough or physically gifted enough to kind of make lemonade out of lemons there. So he's very much an old school pocket passer, which has certain requirements for success, which is namely having a strong offensive line. You look at Drew Brees in New Orleans, you look at Tom Brady in New England, they always had strong offensive lines, which kind of allowed them to be their best selves, whereas Matt Ryan has not. So, but when everything kind of came together, he had Kyle Shanahan, he had a good offensive line, good weapons, but when everything kind of came together and people were able to protect him, we saw what he was capable of, which is an MVP caliber quarterback that took his team to a Super Bowl and came pretty damn close to winning that Super Bowl, were not for his defense absolutely collapsing. So I would probably say that he's the most underrated quarterback in the league because people only see him as a system quarterback. But like I talked about with Tua, I don't really mind a quarterback being a system quarterback. It just means that when you're running the right system, he's pretty damn good at it. So I think if you give him a good coach and you give him good protection, he can really do a lot of great things for you, and he doesn't get appreciated enough.
Now, here's where I'm going to disagree a little bit. I actually made a video a long time ago, and again, I might be wrong here because I'm actually going to do a film analysis video on Matt Ryan, hopefully before the season starts, because I want to really dive into his film and really dissect the issues in Atlanta. Is he kind of the reason they're losing? But, man, I don't know. I don't see it with Matt Ryan. I think that he's a good quarterback, no doubt, but I think he's kind of gone from underrated to overrated. I'm sorry, man. I just don't see it. I see a guy that, he's won MVP in the past. I get that. But I just think that outside of his MVP year, I just don't see years where he's really dominated the sport. And people say that he's a little bit underrated. I think that he's a little bit overrated because he's had a lot of weapons. He's had Julio. He's had, Mohamed Sanu in the past. He's had very good wide receivers. Harry Douglas and Roddy White were pretty darn good when he was back in Atlanta the last couple years, And in the playoffs, I've seen him blow leads to Colin Kaepernick. I've seen him only score 2 points versus the Giants in the playoffs. And that's not great with a lot of weapons. So his playoff record outside of his Super Bowl year, he had 3. I think he had 1 or 2. Yeah, I don't remember how many wins he had a Super Bowl year, but outside of his Super Bowl run, he doesn't have very many playoff wins. He's a below 500 quarterback in the playoffs. So maybe I'm missing something here. What am I missing with Matt Ryan? What do you see on film? Is he as talented as some of these quarterbacks out there? What am I missing?
He's not as talented as some of the other quarterbacks out there, but keep in mind, like, he had the name Matty Ice for a reason, and that's because, especially early in his career, when the Falcons were down, halfway through the fourth quarter, he was going to bring them back. He was another one like Stafford, where he was having a whole lot of fourth quarter comebacks early in his career, and it's kind of fallen off the last few years, especially as his offensive line kind of shit the bed. But he had that reputation early in his career, just like Stafford did. So I think overall he is underrated. He's not as gifted as Stafford. He's not as gifted as most quarterbacks in the league these days, if we're being honest. But I still think he's efficient. I think when he's protected, he's accurate. He's a good decision maker. He's a good leader. There's a lot of quarterbacks that I would take over Matt Ryan, but there's a lot more quarterbacks that I would take Matt Ryan over them.
Yeah, and my only one other knock on Matt Ryan is that I think that the team around him dictates his success. And like you said, he's a system quarterback. You said that, and that's fine, but I just don't know, man. I think that Matt Ryan, I mean, a lot of quarterbacks need a lot of good things as far as the offensive line, the run game, the defense. The Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Deshaun Watsons of the world, even the Tom Brady's of the world, they don't grow on trees. So if you're judging Matt Ryan based on, okay, he's reliable and things of that nature, I get that. But I don't know. I think that I think the team is dictated based on, I think that his success is dictated on how good his team is. I don't really see him elevating his team all the time. Do you disagree with me?
He doesn't elevate in the same way that Rodgers did early in his career. Mainly just because, again, he doesn't have the talent to kind of make something out of nothing, like a Mahomes, like a Lamar, like a Deshaun. So I think the standard for the quarterback position has been raised, and it's a little bit unfair to compare Ryan to that standard because he doesn't have those same gifts. But for his era, which he was kind of in the last generation of the classic pocket passer before the league kind of got taken over by mobility and athletic traits, he was in that kind of last era of a true pocket passer where it was really more sitting in there and distributing. And in that context, I think he's really good. I think it's unfair to compare him to all the young guns roaming around now just because this new generation is totally different. It's a whole different ball game now. So he will never be as good as Deshaun Watson. He will never be as good as Lamar. He will never be as good as Cam Newton, because he just doesn't have those gifts. But in the context of the era that I think he belongs to, I think he's pretty good.
Do you think Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer?
No, I don't think so. If he won the Super Bowl, he might have an argument.
I tend to agree.
But he was never, outside of that 1 year, he was never the best quarterback in the league. Lamar Jackson has an MVP now too in his second year, and I think we still haven't even seen the best version of Lamar Jackson, and he's already been an MVP. We haven't even seen the best version of Mahomes, and he's already been an MVP. We haven't seen the best version of Watson. All these kids that are already better than Matt Ryan ever was, and we still haven't even seen their best. We've already seen Matt Ryan's best. And so if he held that level consistently year after year, then yeah, sure, he's probably a Hall of Famer, but he didn't. So I think he's Hall of very good, but not Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.